Konnichiwa, and welcome to Tsuki no Ame, where we try Japanese sweets and treats. Today we have two treats to try from Boxu. So the first is our Shittori and Zakuzaku Financier sand. What this is basically you have two almond flour cakes sandwiching a filling of chocolate and ground almonds. It sounds really delicious. I'm very excited for this. It sounds amazing. We're also going to try, this is our Zakutto Chocolat. So this could get interesting because they are describing parts of it as cracker. So this is apparently cracker with a chocolate filling and then cracker and then topping. I don't know how well you can see, but there are kind of layers in here. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to come out. I'm very curious to see how it does. It looks really tasty, so I'm hoping it is. With all that in mind, let's get started. Itadakimasu! Starting with our Shittori and Zakuzaku Financier sand. I find it really interesting that they abbreviate it to sand every time it does some sort of sandwich thing. Oh, it smells so good. I can really smell the almond a lot. I like almonds. I like those sorts of things. I like them a lot. You can also kind of smell the chocolate a little bit. I will say it doesn't look like the chocolate filling kind of spread as well as they wanted, as well as they're showing in the pictures. But it does smell really good. These cakes are kind of interesting. Um, they're not quite as soft, but they kind of have to be firmer just for the sandwich effect. But they do still kind of have some give. It smells amazing. I have to try it. Okay. Kind of interesting. The chocolate's kind of solid, which I think is part of why it's not. I'm going to set this to the side since we don't need it to be able to kind of see what it is. But yeah, that chocolate is very, very solid. I think it would have been better if it was a softer chocolate, kind of blended with like cream or something. It really was more like just kind of a chocolate that they poured on and let harden. Um, yeah, I was not a fan of the chocolate part. The cake part, the financier, really nice, soft, chewy. The, almond flour just really lovely and tasty, and I really like the financier part. I'm not so sure that the chocolate that they have in there works. I'm not sure that one thing I will say for it is I'm not sure that it's super waxy, the chocolate filling. Um, it's not the best chocolate, but it's not the worst in terms of the waxy curse. Um, I did appreciate having the almonds in there. I just think that could have been a little bit better filling wise. But I did really like the financiers. So moving on to our Zakutto Chocolat. Okay. There we go. Okay. It smells very chocolatey. And here we have the bottom. It's kind of an interesting feel to it. I'm not entirely sure how I'd describe it. Like, it doesn't feel like a cookie. I think I see why they keep describing it as a cracker. I don't This is interesting. It is very interesting. It is a lot more solid than I think you would kind of expect from looking at it visually. And very, very smooth to the touch. It's interesting. It is really nice and crunchy. The crunch is really satisfying on there. There's not a lot of the chocolate filling, um, which in some ways, there there really wasn't enough to notice if it was waxy or not. Helpful with waxy curse. Um, it was really nice and chocolatey. Um, yeah, it's just kind of hard to describe. It's not bad. If you're somebody who's been really anxious for something Japanese and chocolate that isn't waxy, this is fantastic for that. There's just no waxiness in there, but it is really different. It's not bad. It is actually pretty it's it's different. It's a little weird texture-wise, but yeah, it's nice and chocolatey. The crunch is really kind of nice. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's also, like I said, I keep saying it's not bad, but it really, like, if it's there and available and you're curious to try, then definitely. It's not waxy, it's nice and chocolatey, it's kind of crunchy. It's just a little different, so just be aware going into it. The texture is a little odd for how it looks, um, but it does kind of work once you know that it's crunchy. Gochiso-sama. So to recap, we tried our Shittori and Zakuzaku Financier sand. The financiers were lovely. The chocolate filling wasn't the best. I would have preferred something a little bit different, especially with those financiers, which were so good. Um, but it was fun to try. Fun to try. And it's certainly, it's not like it's gross or anything. So if you're curious about it, go for it. It's not my favorite, but just because of the filling. But it's not terrible. We also tried our Zakutto Chocolat, which was kind of odd. I see why they keep describing it as a cracker instead of a cookie. Um, it's kind of, I think the best way to describe it is those wafer cookies that we've gotten. They're a lot thicker than the wafer cookies I've seen here in the US. These are thicker than those, but there's some similarities to that. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. Um, Either one of these, if you're curious to try, like, they're not bad. I just think we've gotten better. The last episode was a lot of stuff that were really amazing, and I'm actually filling these back to back, um, which is part of it. Um, so if you're curious and have access or just want to try them, certainly give them a shot. But I definitely preferred the fruity things that they sent us, at least for this month. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. If you like my shirt, the link for that is down in the description below. And please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Johnny.